Oh man, it is finally here. Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you, but it has been an absolutely long week of incredible geek news, and I come here bearing gifts. But before we talk about how Santa came a little bit early today, hello, nerds! Woo! Welcome to GeekBeast, part of the Geekish Network. This is your daily rundown of geek news from geeks like me, geeks like you, and geeks like my amazing guests that we have here with us this evening, Evelyn.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
what's up, girl?
Hello.
Yo, let your
hello.
geek flag fly right quick. Yo, tell the people who you are.
My name is Evelyn. Online, you can find me as Sleepy Eve on most social channels. And you may or may not have heard my voice in random ass games like Magic the Gathering Battlegrounds or
What?
Kuon or let me see, what else have I done? Puyo Pop Fever. I've been in like a bunch of games over the past several years. I've done some voiceover work for a couple of phone services here and there. I do all kinds of random stuff. So, you know, I've been around. And yeah, I'm based in the Bay Area. I am a theater actor. I do photography. And then I also work at a really, really amazing nonprofit here in Northern California called Family Giving Tree. So I'm everywhere.
Well, you know, I already know you can't just talk about this amazing nonprofit called Family Giving
No.
Tree and not give us the lowdown. I want to know what's the scoop.
I just needed you to kind of open that door for me. So what we did, I need the permission. So I'm a guest, you know? So Family Giving Tree, what we do is we provide backpacks and school supplies for students in the Bay Area during the summer going into the fall of the school year. And then during the holidays, we do holiday gifts for children, adults, and seniors who are financially struggling in the Bay Area. So really those who really just need a little bit of extra joy and support in the community, that's what we're here for. So we just gave out our 2 millionth donation this past December. So Merry Christmas to everyone. And it's been a lot of work and it's exhausting, but it's just one of the most rewarding things ever. So if you ever get a chance to join us for any of our online events, doing our fundraisers, you know, we are here, we are available. You can talk to me.
Oh, I love that. Family Giving Tree, everybody. We will make sure that we put the appropriate ways to get in contact with them via their website. I'm hoping they have a website. Okay, so we will make sure. Hey, so you said something I have a ton of interest in, and we have so many just talented people that bless our network, and that is like the voice acting. Do you have like a dream job voice acting gig that you would like, or even somebody that you've created out of the ether that you would like to breathe into life?
Ooh, that's a hard one, you know? Like I feel like one of my all-time favorite characters that I had ever voiced was for the game that I mentioned earlier called Puyo Pop Fever. And it was a character named Amity, and she was like this cute, bubbly little girl who would encourage you to pop your bubbles. And it was just the most fun, and there was just so much energy in it. And if I could be cast as Amity again for the future games, I would be okay with that.
Oh, yo, you got me a little bit with the chills. I was like, yo, she's in her zone. I heard the voice and it sounded great. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. You know what? Like, okay, listen, we have been talking briefly on and on about possibly, you know, doing some Dungeons and Dragons and, you know, some of the things that's a lot of fun. One of the parts that's a lot of fun is really embodying the character while you're playing it. You got to be a part of my party because I got to hear how you get down. Yeah, that sounds like it'll be tons of fun.
I got to know though, like, what is your character? What do you do?
Oh, I'm a monk. I got to get these hands. Yo, yeah. Nice. So we've had a couple of ongoing ones.
Yeah.
How about you? Who you rocking with?
So I'm currently playing in 2 different games. One character I'm doing is a rogue. So I'm a tiny little 2.5-foot tall rogue, speaks with a little Irish accent here and there and loves to steal a lot. So it's fun. I love it. I love swiping from anyone and everyone during the party, adventures. And then the other character that I play, I got to actually customize. So I'm a snake spirit. It was actually It's actually based off of a story called The White Snake. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's a show on
Okay.
Netflix called The Green Snake,
Okay.
which is tied to that story. And I actually played the character of Green Snake on a stage show a couple years ago here in the Bay Area, and so I turned that into a D&D character, and my DM is all for it. So I've been running with it.
Oh.
It's been good.
Yo, you hear that voice in the sky? We have our voice in the sky that may be bopping in from time to time. Yo, one of our co-producers, Rodney, he's absolutely amazing. You have to earn the right to see his face, but just like Morgan Freeman, it's all about the voice, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be booming in from time to time.
What are you talking about? What kind of voice? What are you saying?
Look.
We got some people in chat saying there's a little snake emoji in chat from Lon Lopez.
Hey.
Christian Bizzarini, Ronnie, Greenie says Greenie. I don't know what that means.
That was my character name. Greenie.
Nice.
Happy Friday to everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. Hey man, I had a character named Dakul. He was a dark elf monk from time to time. He would come in, have some occasional herbs, and put hands on people from time to time. Oh, I can't wait.
Love it.
You get me all fired up.
Yeah. I love it. Dark elf. I love the dark elf choice. I like
fun.
Yeah, totally, right? So my husband is actually in the chat. That was Christian. His last name is Pizzurani.
Welcome, Christian.
Yeah, welcome, hubby. You're getting brownie points for this. But he recently jumped back into Skyrim again, and he had me help him create his character. I made him do a dark elf. So yes. Yep. And
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? We've having so much fun over here getting all these introductions. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, hey, if you're new to the show, we cover the geek news beat and we share our opinions with you. But fortunately, Fridays, our news beat is a little more lax. We kind of kick back. We typically call this our Friday happy hour, so we can just kind of like shake some of the week off. You don't have to bring a beverage that may be adult. You can bring in something that just wets your whistle perfectly. That wants to hate on Jason Momoa for the obvious reason that he's just ridiculously handsome, but the brother's got charisma too.
Hey,
he commands.
You can aspire to be him. It's okay.
Oh, that's no problem. Okay, we'll go back to the top of the headline. We were wondering where it was. I was like, yo, where is the voice in the sky? Well, now that you're back, and you probably need a moment to kind of like shake it off. I know you can shake it off with a drink in your hand. Are you sipping on anything this happy hour?
Too much, maybe.
See, that's what happened. You gotta slow down. We just getting started. No, I was saying to some of our fans earlier that I think one of the greatest franchises in the last 20 years is the Fast and the Furious franchise. Now, hold on. Before you start trying to throw banana peels and watermelon rinds at me, I like it because it's overly ridiculous. It knows what it is and it delivers. But there's been a new member that's been added to Toretto's team, and it is none other than Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. So how we feeling about that?
We're feeling really good. Really good. Just saying.
Now, listen, I was saying earlier before we were run off the road with our stream. I want to hate on Jason Momoa. I do, because for the obvious hater reasons, because he's far more handsome than I am. But he's got charisma that's just out of this world, and he commands the screen. And I even have to take him seriously after his performance on Dune. So, I mean, right? It's my hate, is it, can you forgive me for my hate? Is it?
Just aspire to be like him. Give the guy a shot.
Yeah.
Just look into his eyes. You'll understand.
Hey, for all the single ladies out there as well, he is just recently separated from his wife. I think he's currently on the market. There's it's a really good way to get your name back out there and kind of like get back on the horse and to jump on one of the biggest money making franchises in cinematic history, being the Fast and the Furious. But let's we're over here revering this man. Let's talk about kind of his misses. Yo, like, did you watch C? Is anybody in the chat watch C? Anybody here? Did you watch C?
No, he did not get to
see
that.
Look.
Did not get to see that.
Yeah, I think he's got like a frontier show on Netflix too. I think that's what it is. It's something with him, being stoic and burly. I can't stand him.
No, you aspire to be like him.
He's so good. He's so good. No, I think it'll be a good idea. Can he fill the shoes of The Rock? Because that's the real question here, right? You're gonna the Rock has pretty much thumbed his nose at the franchise. He's like, I'm never coming back. You guys are jerks to me. So they went and found another really big star. Is that gonna measure?
I would say he brings a different energy. I would say be open-minded about it, right? Set your expectations where you should for a Fast and Furious, right?
Are there expectations for a Fast and Furious?
Right. That's my point. Just enjoy the eye candy for what it is, I guess, is what I can say about that. I mean, at the very least, I have to imagine his recruitment was not as awkward as trying to get The Rock back on board. I don't know if you remember that. That was weird. Yeah. The Instagram post. But maybe it'll be a fresh start, like remove the drama, have a good F10 with the new fresh blood. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Yo, big shout out to the chat. Yo, Defunct 12, he's always popping in here because he is family. He is a part of our casting crew. He's the one that comes up with these amazing news headline. Big, huge shout out to you, fam. And we miss you, man. Can't wait till you get back here. So he's saying, will this get Summer onto the Fast and the Furious fandom trailer? Summer is one of our other co-hosts, and she is a Jason Momoa fan, and I am absolutely certain. Who would you prefer, Momoa or The Rock?
I mean, visually speaking,
yeah,
I'll take either. I mean, that's horrible. I'm totally objectifying them, and I shouldn't. But
it's okay. They walk around with their chest out. I mean, working out all day long to be absolute gods as they bless our cinematic screens. I mean, it's okay.
They're not working their way up to getting an Oscar. I get it, so that's fine.
Speaking of that, if you had to cast either one of them into a seriously dramatic movie that needs range, are you picking The Rock or are you picking Jason Momoa?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Dwayne. I gotta pick The Rock. Yeah, I feel like he's got bigger chops. Yeah. I mean, no, like acting chops. Like I think he's deeper than Yeah. What about you?
I would go with The Rock only because I think he's going to be running for president in like another 10 more years. And I would want him to, I would like to say that my film was the one that kind of like spurred his journey into jumping into the White House. I mean, he's just too good. Like, did you see like his responses? Like, so there was a scandal, an internet scandal with Elmo and a rock that he had beef with because a rock named Rocco was eating his cookies, and he was a pet rock. And the Rock, in the Rock fashion, I'm talking about like Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, was like, I don't have any beef with rocks. I love cookies. I like cookies of all kinds. He's like, this dude just knows how to hit the sweet spot every single time. You can't really box him into a corner.
No.
No.
Right, well, he's smart. He's deep. He's got a lot of dimension to him. So I would totally, I would definitely pick him.
All right, well, we're still talking about, objectifying big burly men. Yo, He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
What have I done? This is not where I wanted to be.
Okay, so Masters of the Universe has set Kyle Allen as He-Man as the movie moves to a Netflix deadline for a live action series. All right, so this could be taken a couple of different ways. Well, let's talk about the history. Were you a He-Man fan ever, like the old 80s?
Oh yeah,
He-Man.
He-Man and She-Ra came hand in hand for me. Yep,
okay.
I used to watch the original series.
Did you get a chance to see the current remade renditions? There were some other ones that were made in like the early 2000s, and then there was one that Kevin Smith, who is in many circles noted as a Greek god. I mean, is a geek god in many circles. Some people felt, that he did a decent job. Other people felt that he kind of like turned his back on the source material, like it's really real source material. They're selling toys. Come on, let's be for real.
Sure, it's a Valentine's Day with chocolate. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that one didn't really do so well, and then they had another one that did okay. Is this destined to kind of fail again? A live action He-Man?
Well, the one thing I can say for it is it's at least a movie, right? Instead of say a series. So, I was thinking back to She-Ra because again, I used to watch them kind of, together, and She-Ra is actually being made into a live action series through Amazon. So she gets an entire season at least of working out a story. This, if it tanks, it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know. I mean, I hold out hope that it'll be good. I feel like most things on Netflix that have come out have been pretty decent quality. So
very true. Very true. Yeah. I do remember their last attempt of a live action with Dolph Lundgren. I could barely remember it. I was a little kid when it happened, but I do remember the dry heaves crystal clear after coming out of that theater. It was. I think it was the film that literally broke Dolph Lundgren's career because he was on a high note after Rocky IV. He did Masters of the Universe, and things just kind of weren't the same anymore.
Yeah.
But you said something. Netflix is dropping it, so it's almost like a swish. It's like a layup.
Yeah. You have the right support team in place, you could potentially do something that's worthwhile. Yeah. And of course, all the toys.
Yeah, there we go. There's another good thing about watching like a lot of this animated stuff now as compared to some of the stuff that we watched when we were in the 80s. I'm only speaking on behalf of myself because I was a child of the 80s.
Me too.
All of it. Okay. All right. I didn't want to assume and didn't want to put you out there. Okay.
I know I aged well, but yeah.
Yes. The thing that now at least we get like actual story regarding some of the animated series, the series that are out here, and they're not just really trying to like force cereal down our throat and make us buy toys. So I do feel a little bit more grown up. But speaking of grown up in animation, we're going off the reservation just a little bit. Geek and Sundry, I believe, is the name of the company that came out with a project called Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in Critical Role, we're doing live action tabletop gaming that really was actually, golly, it's the front runner of live streaming D&D games. All right.
Yeah.
They have come out with an animated series from the funding of the success that they've done called The Legend of Vox Machina. I think that's the name of it. First off, since we know that you are a D&D fan and connoisseur, were you a fan of Critical Role?
You know, I listened to the second version, so I didn't listen to Vox Machina.
Mhm.
But I had started to listen to the other one after, and I didn't actually finish it because it was so freaking long, and then but
Mm,
it was at a time where I was, like, trying to remember what the rules were, so listening to it really helped me, like, kinda cement how I was gonna, like, play my rogue character and
right.
steal and do all these fun things, and so I got a lot of inspiration from them. So I have
Mhm.
to credit them for a lot of, like, my creative ideas that I kind of take on when I'm playing in a campaign.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, let me ask you
Yeah.
a question. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of hip hop, and there came a time when hip hop was for a very small group of people, and didn't really spread, right? And
Mhm.
then it hit like superstardom, when like Run DMC hit the scene, and now it's like a global phenomenon, and it's maintained that for like the past like 40 years, right? So Dungeons and Dragons was a very niche type of game for us, the one we grew up with. Uh, Critical Role is like the MC Hammer of Dungeons and Dragons right now. Like they're totally just all selling Pepsi and everything and making tons of money, like insane amounts of money through some of their channels. And
Mhm.
now it has become commonplace. It's like a part of pop culture. Do you feel that it may have kind of sold out a little bit?
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I think is really cool about this? And one thing I also wanted to point out was Stranger Things probably helped with a lot of the exposure to making D&D cool too, because those kids were
Yes.
all about Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Very true.
And Stranger Things is way, way out there. Super popular. So, but I feel like if you've got something good, share it, Like, why not get more people interested in it? And who cares if people want to like play it their own way or whatever? It's just that
Mhm.
idea of like this old classic game can kind of have new life. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just kind of neat. It's neat,
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I'm glad you said that because here at the Geekish Network, we are not fans of gatekeeping. It's just everybody. There's room for everybody. There's space for everybody, and you don't have to like pay a form of geek reparations
Yeah.
to be a part of our space. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But there is a small part of me that's like, oh, I do remember when it was mine.
Sure, sure. It felt a little more special. I get it. It's fair. And then people like me came on board and were like, what? What is this cool thing? Okay.
Oh God,
So,
yo.
Trey,
Go ahead.
what
What's up?
what are
What's
you
up, man?
drinking? Well, this
Oh,
is happy hour, right? So
yes, it
I
is.
decided to
Nice
drink.
to meet
You know, what we toast to our lovely guest host,
Yes.
to Evelyn,
Thank you
to
so much.
to all the geeks out there. All right, so drink up,
Absolutely.
and then
Clink,
you
clink,
guys in
clink,
chat,
clink.
drink up.
Wait, what are your drinks?
Oh,
Oh.
some red wine. So
Oh my gosh, you're so posh. Okay.
I had
I'm
to.
ashamed of my
I
little
know.
Merlot.
I
Wait a
know.
minute.
I
It's not.
gotta. We had
It's
to.
cognac.
It's cognac. We had.
Judgment.
I know. We okay.
Judgment.
Not that I have to, but I am going to explain. I used to love beer, craft beer specifically. I used to drink a lot, but like lately, for whatever reason, it just really gets to me in different ways. So now I'm just like, I really have
Called aging.
I've really come to love wine, especially
Yeah.
red wine. So there you go. But cheers.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Cheers.
Just,
Yeah, no
absolutely.
judgment. Posh is perfectly fine. I think you should embrace your poshness. It's okay.
Yeah, but Critical
that.
Role, speaking of Critical, we were talking about this a little bit in the pre-show. Critical Role, then the Twitch leak that people may or may not be aware of. A few months back, the whole site got hacked. It basically got uploaded to 4chan and the torrents, and basically all the source code, everything, payments, everything was leaked. But one of the most interesting things out of that was that they released all the earnings for like a 2-year span. And lo and behold, Critical Role was number one out of the whole site by like a lot. Like it wasn't even like, okay, number one and two were close. It was like a million It was a crazy amount of gap between 1 and 2. But Critical Role was number 1. They made, and this is just Twitch subs and bits and ad revenue. Right. They made $9 million in that 2 year 2 year span. So
I missed my calling.
Yeah, so I'm like, when I saw that, I'm like, yo, Chuck, Trey, we gotta like up the timeline on our D&D streams. We gotta get going. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it for over a year, so it had nothing to do with it more than anything. It was more of a joke, but it was just very eyebrow raising, right? Because you're just like, holy shit, I knew they were popular, but not that popular.
Nobody saw that coming, man. No, nobody. Like, you would have figured, somebody like I think her name is Pokemon. I think Pokemon. I think that's her name. You would have figured that her, or maybe one of the other one of the Fortnite streamers would have been like, the king. And when you really think about it, it's like that's just streaming revenue from their ads. We're not even talking about some of the other stuff that they've been like selling through links on the side. So, and more than likely, it's probably doubled that amount.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because, and then it was really interesting too, because, and obviously I follow this quite a bit because, this is the world and the business that we're in, right? And so I follow it really closely. And so a lot of the streamers were, at first they were like, oh shit, all my earnings got released. But then they just ran with it, right? They ran with it. It was right around the same time Squid Game came out.
Oh.
So they were literally saying like, oh, I'm like they were looking at their number on the list and they were saying like, oh, number 45 checking in, right? And they were doing it. And they're just like, and then what happened was it became this really very, very interesting discussion about what you just said, Trey, about like how much people were making off of streaming. And the streamers were really forthright because they're like, well, fuck, my numbers are out there. I'm just going to tell it. And they just said, look, this is probably a third of what we make. They were saying most of our money comes from sponsorships, and then you count in donations, right, through PayPal. But even then it's like, you don't even know if that was a full count of like what they earned or like what they got. And then you don't know what Twitch's cut was, right? Because Twitch's cut is, for like affiliates, I think it's like you get hardly anything. Twitch is like 50, but like with partners, I think they get some of them get 70-30 and like 30 goes to cut. But like, so streaming and these streamers, they're making way more than those. So going back to Critical Role, I'm sure they made more than $9 million. $9 million is just what they got from Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And then you throw all of the eggs in one basket, and then your basket goes away. Yeah. And then that's what happens with your company.
Yeah, that is a very real risk. But also to Critical Role's forward thinking, when they created their animated series that they have released on Amazon, and if you have Amazon Prime, I believe you get it for free. I believe out of the 12 episodes, the first 10 they paid through crowdsource funding. So that's saying something about the loyalty of the audience.
Oh yeah, the fandom is huge.
Right. It's really big, and they're not afraid to spend money. And then the last 2 episodes, I think they came out of their own pocket with it. Has anybody here or even in the chat watched the first episode of The Legend of Vox Machina? Okay. Yeah, it's good. I'm not gonna lie. I was surprised. I did watch it this morning. It was good. Hold on, let me do some quick chat shout outs. Shout out to Vivek. Yo, thank you for bopping in. Vivek said a Critical Role can be considered as a story being told through the medium of D&D. Now, I wasn't a full-blown Critical Role fan. I've watched just a couple of episodes. But from my understanding is that this is based off of one of their very first campaigns, so that is kind of like the storyline for it. Sorry, I had a moment of my wheels spun out of my head. Do you think that we're going to get like more spin-offs as a result of this show? Like, what do you see for the future of tabletop gaming in general? Not just Dungeons and Dragons, but tabletop gaming in general, now that we're making like these bigger leaps in leaps with it because we got card-based gaming jumping up on the scene too. Other board games, like, is it here to stay or is this just a fad?
I think it's here to stay. I mean, I hope it's here to stay because I'm a huge board
Hmm.
gamer, like tabletop gamer in general. Um,
Hmm.
I have all of my games like cataloged on Board Game Geek, and I've got like over
Hmm.
100 and I don't know how many games. I'm
Mm.
proud of it, but I feel like it's especially during the pandemic, and especially if you're not like living alone,
Mhm.
it's a really good activity to kind of bring back to the quote unquote table,
Mhm.
to kind of bond over, and it's just a different way to relate to people, and it's really a great way to get kids to like think critically. Like that's
Mhm.
I feel like it's such a huge problem now these days where kids are just kind of handed things and told things, and no one's like kind of forced to really like apply their brain power. But there are so many games out there that are just so brilliant and really make you get creative with your decisions. And I think that that's just such an important way for you to be able to kind of learn and to bond with one another. Like
Mm.
I game nights are the cool thing to do, I think, these days, and I
Mhm.
really, really hope they stay because I really enjoy it.
What are some of your favorites other than D&D? What are some of the ones that you guys play, Trey and sorry,
Uh,
Centel and
no, it's
Evelyn?
all good. I'm still really old school. When I was in college, just regular card games was really big one. I know that doesn't really count as tabletop gaming per
Yeah, it's
se.
on a tabletop. You count.
Yeah. So everything from gin to spades to poker. I love poker. I love all types of card games. But when it comes to like adventure type games, I still have like the full blown box set of oh my gosh oh my gosh the Game of Thrones game, which is really absolutely so good. I want to learn Citizens of Catan, so if any of y'all would like to teach me, I want to jump on board with that. And then just different variations of role playing games as well, outside of just Dungeons and Dragons itself. So yeah, I'm down to play anything. How about you all?
So, so we have a group of friends that we play Gloomhaven with. We were playing it
Hmm.
religiously, like every single week. Get like just getting through dungeons, killing off monsters, developing
Mm,
our characters and whatever.
right.
So it's kind of like D&D, but without all the role playing. You're just like slashing and killing your way through scenarios.
Okay.
Um, but like I really, really enjoy most of the strategy games that come out of like Stonemaier. So Jamie
Mm.
Stegmaier designs some really, really great gameplay in his games. So like Wingspan is one that I really, really enjoy.
Let me get my
Um,
notepad.
but hey, I will email you a list of games that I would recommend. But like,
Please do.
yeah. Everdell is a beautiful one. It's cute. It's got little
Mm.
critters from the forest. Like,
And
and it's
then,
just,
speaking
yeah.
of the pandemic, like how were you able to do these? Like, were there online versions of some of these games, or were we able to do
They
that
have
type of
online,
it?
yeah. So they have online versions of most of these games.
Mm.
So Jamie Stegmaier actually designed a game meant for the pandemic during the pandemic, and
Mm.
they recently released it as an actual tabletop board game recently. It's called Rolling Realms. I haven't played it, I haven't tried it, but it was originally done so that everybody could just play online and
Mm.
like print out their own little sheet and scorecard. And it
Mm.
is not a simple like roll the dice kind of game. It is complex, and you did a really, really good job with it based on what I've seen. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I can talk board games all day. So,
No, no. Hey. I need to level up my board gaming
I'll work
because
on
it's
that. I
tough.
have your email now, so I'm going to be sending
Please
you all
do.
these recommendations.
Absolutely. All right. Let me ask you
No,
just a
yeah,
critical thought question
yeah,
regarding it.
no worries. We that's why we were asking. We love that kind of talk. Just like hearing about it, and yeah, we definitely want to do more of it. Personally, and then also on the channel. So
Mm-hmm.
Let me just ask you a question. Um, the mainstream infiltration of tabletop gaming and Dungeons and Dragons, is it as successful had the pandemic not been around?
Ooh, that's a hard question because I feel like we've been living in the pandemic for 10 years.
Right.
Um,
I'm so exhausted.
does it not feel that
I'm
way?
so
I don't
exhausted.
know. It feels that way to
I just
me.
want to get off this ride, please.
I sorry, you're stuck for life. We're on year 3 in case you didn't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I kind of want to say that it was on the rise before the pandemic, at least in my little bubble, in my world, it was. Again, because of things like Stranger Things, that kind of surfaces that kind of world out with, you know, the greater audience, right? That people kind of latch on to those little things when they catch it in the media. And so it probably was on a rise, but maybe wouldn't have been as rapid had it not been for the pandemic. I don't know.
Okay. All right. We have seen some pandemic influenced style of gaming. And one of the game of the years that we watched during the video game awards was It Takes Two, which is more or less a couch co-op type of game, you know. And couch co-op gaming was one of those things that was kind of like going out to pasture. You know, it was a dying thing because everybody was connecting kind of like online. So regarding gaming, video game, and television watching in general, content in general, what silver linings did you bring out of the pandemic?
People were forced to get really creative. I can tell you from like the theater side of the industry that when you cannot have a live audience and you can't have actors together and you can't perform and rehearse live, but you have a theater company, you have to try to figure out how to keep afloat. You get creative. And so people really forced themselves into learning technology as fast as they could. I want to say that the technology companies like really stepped up their game in terms of like what they were offering to the public, what they were making more accessible to the public, right? So I feel like there were a lot of silver linings that came out of it because it forced people to be uncomfortable and figure out how to adapt.
Forced people to be uncomfortable. I like that. I like that. When you're uncomfortable, you make moves happen.
Yes.
You make it work. You
That's how you grow.
Very creative. Yo, I just want to give a quick hat tip and a nod to the chat. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for us, please make sure you just drop it in the chat and we will try to get to them as quick as we can. Huge shout out to the Funk. Yo, he said he is sipping on a bottle of Florida's finest spring water.
Ooh, also very posh.
Yes. So you're drinking your spring water with your pinky finger in the air. Yo, the Funk. Then he comes back and he says, all right, went to the fridge and got a peach mango Angry Orchard. Well, welcome to the party. Welcome. You were a good guy for all of 5 minutes.
Peach mango is not a bad choice. So,
Christian, thank you again for bopping into the chat. He was referring to your massive game selection by saying it is a lot of games, and he did give a shout out to Overcooked, which is another absolutely incredible couch co-op game, and it's really good online as well. Not as fun as couch co-op, but have you ever played that one? Are you familiar with Overcooked?
Very familiar, and it is the stuff that breaks relationships.
Yes, that's why I love the game. It's like it is as dangerous as Mario Kart. Like you have to draw lines in the sand if somebody's not doing what they need to do. It's like it was chicken you were supposed to be cooking. Why did you mess it up? You had one role to do.
Get the plate! Get the plate! Like it's like gonna kill someone. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and in our household, like if you keep messing up, you're automatically like on dish duty. You have to do the dishes. That's like the absolute worst gig that you can get where everybody else is cooking. I love Overcooked.
So dangerous. So dangerous.
Huge shout out to the Funk again. He said, I wonder if Riverdale's D&D arc years ago, pre-pandemic, managed to get its audience into gaming themselves. Okay,
you know what's funny is I want to say Riverdale brought in D&D and didn't actually call it D&D, right? They had like it was the general premise of role playing and whatnot. Right. I actually don't know. First of all, I totally outed myself by kind of admitting that I had watched Riverdale.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that. And I was like, there's nothing wrong. You like what you want.
Listen. I ended it at some point. I stopped the relationship at some point. I did. I swear I did. But I mean, I like the general idea that they brought to the table of like, you know, the role playing and whatever and how it's dangerous. Right. And but yeah, I don't know if they like people made that direct tie-in. They probably did. I gotta give people more credit for kind of making that connection, right? Like I don't know. It was different. I feel like directly calling out a brand like D&D in a show like Stranger Things just like puts it right out there. They didn't quite do that with Riverdale, so
You know what? I got one that's even earlier than that, and might have been very influential to help get the ball moving. There was a little show called Community back in the day, and they had a D&D episode. It's probably, arguably, one of their best episodes. It's got to be one of their top 5 episodes. And it definitely opened up the doors to a lot of people who were clueless about Dungeons and Dragons, and then watching that crew go through their D&D romp was tons of fun. Did you see it?
Yes. I gotta give Community credit for doing such a phenomenal job, like genre hopping. Like they did so many of those. It was just, yeah, they mastered it. It was good.
Such a brilliant show. Well, 4 out of the 6 seasons. No, 7. They did 7. 4 out of 7. Yeah. When they switched directors and writers, but we're not going to get into the weeds. We're not going to go too far into that. My man in the sky said that's a good point, Defunk, but definitely think it was Stranger Things that really brought a lot of the attention. Defunk, Riverdale used a legally distinct name rather than D&D proper. So it's in the details. All of that is in the details.
I think the demographic of people that were watching Riverdale versus what people watching Stranger Things was also different, because I feel like Stranger Things hit a broader audience. So it was hitting like, kids who were probably not supposed to be watching Stranger Things, but were, as well as like the older folks, right? And I feel like Riverdale was not that kind of a show. It didn't have that big of an audience.
Hey, we're gonna change gears and hop back into a hot bit of news just for a second, because I am curious how you're thinking regarding Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn has been very, very busy. He just got done doing the Suicide Squad. I have to make sure to emphasize the because there is a distinct difference between Suicide Squads. It was a hate-love kind of relationship, more love than hate. And then he had his spinoff with Peacemaker, which is surprisingly very good for a very obscure character. He has said, according to Polygon, that this would be the last time people saw this group of characters together as the Guardians of the Galaxy, saying that this is the end for us. This is the last time people will see the team of Guardians of the Galaxy. Is this bittersweet or a long time coming?
Meant as a trilogy, I get it, but it's still sad to say goodbye.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so here's the real question. Who's gonna die? Because James Gunn is killing somebody. He's killing somebody.
Oh, don't make my brain go there.
Who gotta go? You have to pick. Who's going?
I mean, oh God, I don't know. Who would you want?
Well, you can't do Groot again, so I don't know. I think
that's like an easy way out, right?
yeah. You can't do Groot again. I'm still bitter at Endgame for Star-Lord, so I kind of want him to have to pay up. Because all you had to do, man, was chill out, man. Yeah, all you had to do was chill out, and then Thanos would have lost his glove, and then nobody gets snapped. But no, you had to get caught up in your feelings. So
hey, feelings are real.
Yo, in the chat, at a Guardians of the Galaxy, if somebody has to die, who's got to go? Oh, I forgot Gamora's already gone too. So,
I would have said Gamora, but yeah, she's not a. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, here's some fan theory, because the other version of Gamora is still around, and so we're gonna see her in this third rendition. Maybe she sacrificed herself to bring back the old Gamora. I don't know. Christian says Rocket, hands down. He's too cute. He's got a foul mouth and he steals. But
that's here's the thing is that's what would make it hurt more, right?
Right.
He's too cute to die, so let's kill him off.
Yeah.
It depends on how cruel they want to be.
Yo, Defunk says Batista said he's done. I think that is very true. I think I read Bradley Cooper said he's done as well, and Pratt's star is falling. Batista said that one of the reasons, this is kind of interesting too, because we were talking about objectifying strong big men. It's funny to me. No. So Batista, who has a legendary body, at least when he was in his prime, he said one of the main reasons why he was kind of like done playing Drax is that in order to maintain that type of size and shape, especially at the age that he is very extremely difficult to do. The Rock is an anomaly. That's just how dope The Rock is. He's an anomaly to look like that at that age. So I mean, do we feel bad considering? I'm going to ask you a kind of little personal question. Do we feel bad considering that he's complaining about maintaining that look when we are so critical about the look that women have, and especially about the aging of women and their star power diminishing as a result of it? Do we feel bad for Batista?
I personally do feel bad, you know, and I get where he's coming from. And, you know, I vaguely remember seeing a headline about him saying like, I don't want to act with my shirt off anymore kind of thing. And I get it, you know, but I kind of feel like we as an entertainment industry have to do better about breaking away from the whole like ageism thing. Cause this is all part of it, right? As you get older, you're less attractive for certain roles, and you don't necessarily have to be. It's just, that's just how you treat other people, and you don't have to treat people that way. You don't have to prioritize that in the Hollywood sort of spotlight, you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like watching these people age over time gracefully, because they do still age amazingly gracefully, should be normalized. Like, you shouldn't have to expect like poor Dave Bautista to like have pecs of steel until he's like 60 years old or whatever. I don't know how old he is now, but like, it shouldn't be an expectation, because it shouldn't be an expectation on women. Like plastic surgery, you know, implants, like all that garbage. Like, we have to change our narrative about aging in Hollywood and aging in entertainment.
Well said.
Struck a nerve.
Yeah. Big huge shout out to the chat as well. Yo, DeFunk, he said, I think as long as he's not holding a double standard with women, then it's fine. So okay, that's there.
Fair enough.
Geekish Network, the voice of the sky, says, as much as I don't want my Filipinos to have to go, I bet his character is gone. Yeah, that's very true as well. And let's hop over to like one more interesting topic that I am looking forward to hearing your opinion. So I lived in Tennessee for a very long time, a little small town called Clarksville in Tennessee. Tennessee is a very unique state into itself. It is in the South, and with the South comes some cultural missteps from time to time. I'll just say that. I don't want to just completely dog out my state, but yeah, they have a lot of misses. Yeah. So Tennessee School Board, who is notorious for making the wrong call, has not disappointed yet again. They have removed the Holocaust graphic novel Mouse from its curriculum. This Mouse, I'm not as familiar with Mouse as you are, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to a much wiser person regarding the subject matter. How are we feeling about this?
I like the term wiser. I'm okay with that. I think that just to give you a little bit of background, Mouse is this 2-part graphic novel that was written like in the 80s. And it's been a resource for a lot of schools to help supplement teaching about the Holocaust. And that is a really, really important topic to cover, because it was such a horrific time in history, right? And it's essentially the story, somebody's story of, you know, the experience during the Holocaust told in the form of mice and cats. So you think about the Jews and the Nazis, mice and cats, and that's essentially it. And that is pretty much the only substitution, because everything that happens in this story is very much like raw and real to the writer, because I think it's like somewhat autobiographical. I think the writer is Artie Spiegelman, and he essentially, you know, put together this story just about some really, really raw experiences that like also help shed the light on exactly what the Holocaust was like to live through. And a lot of teachers have been able to use it historically to help with supporting like just how to teach about the Holocaust. It's a graphic novel. It makes it a little bit more relatable for like a younger audience, but it's still really raw in content that, you know, you're not like wrapping the Holocaust in like bubble wrap and making it this fluffy story. It's real, right? And so for the school board to come in, so this school board came in and essentially said, yeah, we don't want to share all this dark history with these middle school kids. We just want to keep things, you know, we just want to stay away from all this dark content. We don't like that they use the word bitch. Like literally that was one of the points, was there was this swearing in the book, you know, specifically the word bitch. There was a specific scene about, you know, the character's mom who ends up committing suicide. I'm not spoiling, it'll be fine, you can read it. And they were just trying to come up with all these excuses about why they felt this is not appropriate content for our middle school students. And essentially they didn't like the swastika that's on the front cover. Didn't want to use the word bitch. I want to say he says like God damn it or something in there at some point, and didn't like that. And it was just, it's such a horrible way to like look at this, especially when this decision kind of came. I think this article kind of rolled out yesterday, like mainstream, and it happened to be Holocaust Remembrance Day. Like it's just wrong in so many ways, right? Like you don't need to fluff up history. You need to teach real history. And all you're doing by taking these experiences away is allowing the opportunity for these kids to repeat history. And that is just such a horrible thing to kind of look forward to for Tennessee, you know? Like it's just, you're making up history essentially is what you're doing by taking stuff like this away.
No, that's exactly what you're doing. There's certainly no need to sugarcoat it. Critical race theory is a very hot topic that's been going on, and a lot of states within the South are it feels like Fahrenheit, right? You know, they're just taking a bunch of books and throwing them into the fire and pretending like they don't exist, and teaching a narrative of softening the reality of the history of America and in the world in general, trying to put certain groups of people in a positive light, even though atrocities did happen on their watch. And a lot of people's parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents participated in these events, and they want to pretend like that didn't happen. So according to the link that this is coming from, it is stating that Mouse is the only graphic novel to ever win a Pulitzer Prize, and academics have used it to teach history, psychology, and more. As CNN reports, the 10-member board voted in Tennessee unanimously to remove Mouse from its 8th grade literacy curriculum because of its objectionable language and nudity back on June 10th, despite arguments from instructional supervisors, which is funny because we read a lot of Mark Twain and the N-word is dropped casually and nobody seemed to bat an eye. But that's just me. So according to the minutes at the meeting board, Tony Almond said, we don't need to enable or somewhat promote this stuff. It shows people hanging. It shows them killing kids. Why does the educational system promote this kind of stuff? It's not wise or healthy. It's just very disappointing that this trend is continuing.
Is it considered promoting? I mean, like you're not running a commercial. You're just telling the truth.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
For one, history is messy. Period. It's just the nature of it, and to sugarcoat it and pretend like things aren't what they are is silly, and then destroying the narrative, regardless if whatever character is played by cats or mice, is just a way of running from the truths of those situations.
I think it's definitely along the lines of what you said earlier, Santel, about like the critical race theory pushback, right? Is they're trying to sanitize all the things that people are learning, and it's pretty interesting because, you know, I was following it very closely on Twitter, which I do, and a lot of the Twitter conversation around it was basically saying a lot of different things like, hey, you know, like what you said, like they're worried about nudity and a few bad words here and there.
Nudity of mice. Yeah. Nudity of mice. Nudity of mice. Okay? But it's not even people.
It's not even people, right? Exactly. And then on top of that, you have people that are like, hey, you know what? They don't care about school shootings, but they care about this, right? So you have like the same at the same time they're banning this book, they're also having school shooter, you know, drills, right? You know, and it's like, instead of like it's very much, and I've always found this too. It's like it's very much trying to solve symptoms and not the ills or the cures, right? Like trying to cure symptoms and not the disease, right? They're trying to politicize things and then to keep the attention and the real focus away from things that really do need to be fixed, right? And it's just it's pretty ironic that it happened on the Holocaust Remembrance Day as well,
right?
too.
And the thing about like this whole situation, if you think about it, is you go in there and you look at the whole thing and you're like, God, the system is freaking broken, but it's not. The system is not broken because the system was designed this way. And so it's like you talk about the root of the problem. The root of the problem is whoever drew the blueprints to this thing is like skewed, right? So it's it's so much deeper, and there's so much more work that has to be done than just like on the surface, like, yeah, I disagree with this. Like, people need to do something about it rather than just sit by and shake their heads or, I credit to the teachers for trying to fight for it. And I'm just like so furious for them. And I'm so glad they were willing to like put themselves out there to say something back to the board, right? Boards are scary to talk to and approach. And, for something this important, like they really needed to put their voices out there. And it's just really frustrating that they did not win that fight.
And on one hand, like you said, it is bringing into light, highlighting some issues that are definitely systemic, right? But one of the good things that are definitely
understatement,
good,
right?
Yeah, very. But what's good about that as well is there's a lot of people. I mean, I've been following a lot of people I follow on Twitter. They were saying, there was a tweet. It says I'll put it in chat, but basically there was a bunch of people that were saying, hey, as I've offered before other banned comics, I'll donate up to 100 copies of The Complete Mouse to any family in the McMiniman County area in Tennessee. Just DM me an address. And then a bunch of other people like Gary Whitta, who I do follow. He's the writer of Rogue One and of Book of Eli. He said, I will match this. Demons are temporarily open. Send me your McMinn County mailing address, and I'll have this copy of The Complete Mouse shipped to you. Trolls equals block. Please retweet. Right? So there's a lot of people that are coming out and saying, and then on the other hand, it's like, as soon as you say it's banned, of course, now the kids are going to be like, oh, you know what? I need to go get this.
I hope so. I hope so.
So it's like, it's very counterintuitive to what they're trying to do. And we know what it is because it's so transparent. But at the same time, it's like, this is really going to shoot yourself in the foot, right? And it's really going to backfire on you. And it already is. And it's only been like 2 days. And it's totally going to, back. So if there's anything to be said about it, it's yes, systemic. It is highlighting some of the major, like somebody said in the chat, is, this is the authoritarianism, right? That's reeling its nationalism, that's reeling its head throughout our society and throughout the world. But then there are other people rising up against it, right?
Yeah.
They're still good, and it's like there's still people who are like, okay, you know what, this is bullshit. We're gonna continue to fight for these things because this needs to be told. This story needs to be told. This is a great way to tell the story. It's a classic. It's and it's like your objections to the source material. Are just bullshit, and it's just like absolutely bullshit.
Truly.
And everybody just sees right through what it really is.
Naked mice. Yeah. That's all there. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like I guess my hope is that like the momentum of the sort of quote unquote uprising continues because there's so many of these things that come up time and time again, right? There's just so much oppression out there to fight. People get exhausted after a while. Like, it's like, where do you start? I mean, obviously, being persons of color, I feel like we each know our own experiences of what that feels like. And, it may be very different for you than it has been for me. It still sucks. But you get exhausted fighting that battle after a while. You get tired of people asking you, where are you really from? Right? So I'm hoping that the momentum continues, and I'm hoping that all these people who are choosing to donate these books continue to push the envelope on that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny, man. Especially when you talk about like naked mice. I'm like, Bugs Bunny been naked for almost 80 years. Donald Duck hasn't worn pants ever. So now all of a sudden it's
and he
a
shakes
problem.
his tail.
It's like we know what the problem really is. You're not fooling anybody.
No.
Well, respectful, you're my man in the sky. We have done our hour in. I would absolutely love to keep going, but I just want to be respectful to our guests and respectful to our fans as well, because we can keep the ball rolling, ladies and gentlemen.
All night.
Well,
I could bring out my dice. We could do some D&D now,
Oh. Hey, well, while the voice in the sky tries to figure out what's going on, I do have one more additional stream. I feel like I'm saying goodbye to an old friend, and that is Sega. So Sega is leaving. Sega's leaving the Japanese arcade business for good, and I'm saying goodbye to an old friend, just in terms of just the arcade experience. I grew up in an arcade, like literally after school. I'm that dude that had quarters on Street Fighter. Waiting for my turn. And Sega, on top of just them having a positive influence in my early development with arcade games, had made arguably one of the greatest game systems outside of Nintendo, and that is the Genesis, and went out on a high note with the Dreamcast. Sega seems to know when to cut bait and run. Is this another example of that, or should we kind of like pay for the nostalgia that I currently can't let go of?
Go buy an arcade machine for your house. Like, that's what people are doing with arcade machines these days. They're not going to an arcade to play, right? That's the problem. Although I have to tell you that like the pod racer at Dave & Buster's was like the awesomest thing ever. Not because I like driving games, but just like sitting in that thing was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, kids are not going to go play those. Like, they're doing Fortnite at home, right? That's kind of the new trend.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then too, the pandemic really. Yeah. It's like, I think
I don't want to climb into a pod racer.
Yeah, right. I think with anything, it's like the pandemic is definitely affecting and killing literally different things, but industries as well, right? And it's just like being so. But I mean, the fact that they're leaving, they understand that it's like it's just not a profitable business for them anymore. But I'm sure they're gonna be still gonna be making stuff, but just not for arcades, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the argument regarding some say the inevitable death of the movie theater experience. And some people are saying, well, you can still watch your movies on HBO Max or Netflix or some of the other platforms, but there is something to be said about the movie theater experience. There's something to be said about the arcade experience, even though that arcade experience has been dead for like 20 years, but it's still something about being around a group of your peers, all focused on one thing that you all love, sharing that energy. Or am I being just a little too hippie-ish in this moment?
I can see where you're coming from for sure, but like, you got to look at what's actually out there right now. Like, what are those businesses that are actually supporting arcade?
It's very true.
Coin ops or whatever it is that you use to pay, like the little cards, right? Like, there's not very many. There's not very many anymore, right? Like, I feel like for us in the Bay Area, when I was growing up, we had nickel cities everywhere. Literally a nickel for a game, right? And those closed. Those all closed down. We don't have that. Dave & Buster's is like the one thing, and it's mostly ticketed games. A few little, Mario Kart there, but I can play Mario Kart at home and not catch COVID. So I don't know. I can yell at my husband while we're racing at home as he throws his blue shell at me and like not do it in public. So I don't know.
But do you feel, either one of you feel that there's like a death of the culture a little bit? It feels like a loss. Like like I said, I'm really nostalgic right now.
I was gonna say
I spent hours.
Hours. I was gonna add. I remember. Literally, okay, I think we're gonna age ourselves here, right? But I remember
you do that.
Yeah,
you do that.
Getting on my bike, getting on my bike with my friend, and with a pocket full of quarters, and then going to the local liquor store and play Gauntlet. Not even it's not even Street Fighter, but Gauntlet, right? Elf is about to die, right? The warrior needs food badly, right? So, like, from that standpoint, yeah, for sure. But like, there's a point where like, yeah, I didn't do that anymore. And then I think the last time I actually did any sort of arcade experience was actually a VR arcade. We went to a VR arcade. It was here locally in Long Beach, Del Amo Mall. So for the LA area, people know. And they had a VR arcade there, and we went there for my birthday and my two nephews' birthdays, and we were able to play some VR games together, and that was like a blast. That was an absolute blast, but it was expensive because you had to pay for like time. You didn't pay for just a game. You had to pay for time, so you had to play, and it was so much fun, and I wish things were like that again. And I know Panorama, there were a lot of like nickel arcades, penny arcades that were popping up all throughout LA area, and they were getting really, really popular because people were like, holy shit, this is a lot of fun, going out, drinking, and going to playing all these old arcade games. But yeah, again, I'll do that from home and not catch, and not catch a deadly disease, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. And but so I am, and hopefully, here's what my hope is, because obviously too, like because I love the VR aspect of it. There's some really, really cool stuff. Like The Void was one, and they definitely struggled as well. Where The Void, if you're not familiar with The Void, and I'm sure Devonk knows, but The Void was basically a VR experience, but they had it in such a way that you walked through basically a walkway. They created the walkway and the VR environment to sort of match where you were walking, and so they had really cool experience, like a Star Wars experience. And they had tie-ins, and they had a bunch of places, and I really wanted to check it out because I had heard about so much about it, and they just opened one up at like the Disneyland at the downtown Disney, and they had a whole Vader. It was like a whole Star Wars experience where like 4 of you wear these VR backpacks. You walk through, and you're basically like stormtroopers, and you go through this adventure, and I think it's like 15 minutes long, but it's just, from what I ever read, it was like so amazing. But obviously because of the panorama, I never got to do it. And so
I like that he calls it the panorama.
Yeah, that's what we do. We don't really say the P word, right, as much as we can. And then, we really, really wish, I really, really wish those things come back. And I think, and this is my hope, because in general, I think these things will rebound as things we get out of what we're in. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the hope, is like that we can get these new experiences, all these other community and communal experiences will fully make a recovery. So when things come back, we can enjoy these things too as a community. Right. Yeah. Because it's just, you're right, Chantal. It's like, there's nothing, like we talked about the charity streams, right? It's like, we have all these games, but man, if you play the game by yourself, it's one thing. But if you can play a game with a bunch of your friends, that's a whole other thing. So just to give you an idea, we've had some charity streams the last few weekends where Halo Infinite is out. And again, to anybody out there, if they wants to play Halo Infinite with us, hit us up because we'll play. We basically grabbed a bunch of people. It's a free to play. And we said, hey, we're doing this charity stream. We want to play Halo Infinite. Come join us. So we had like about 12 people. We were trying to push for like 28 because it allows for 28 players. And we were having so much fun. We're like, I had it scheduled for like only 2 hours, and it was like 4 hours into the stream. Like, because we're like, and it didn't even feel like 4 hours. It was like, because we were having so much fun, and it was like everybody was all over. Some people were in Washington, so like Trey's and the Midwest, and it's like, we're over here in LA, and it was just like all these people that basically didn't even really know each other, and we're all just having a great time playing together. So to get that back and get that in person, but then, is definitely, I hope that definitely comes back. And it's just I think it's just a matter of time. And I think also what's going to happen is because people have so starved for it, it's going to boom. I think it's gonna boom when it comes back, when things are fully open to where they should be. But anyways,
so it's more along the lines of like putting together that community and bonding with that community of people versus like playing the nostalgic games per se, right? Like, because like if you're talking about, I appreciate the nostalgia of like, you know, going to the arcades and stuff. Is it nostalgia over the actual games, or is it nostalgia over just the idea of going with other people?
That is a very, very good point. And here's a perfect example of that is that I played like Halo 2. Halo 2 is one of my all-time favorite games in my head. And it's because of me playing couch co-op with a friend, you know, eating pizza rolls, staying up, you know, just absolutely high fives and enjoying it and just full on having a complete experience. And I played it again. This is like 10, 15 years after the fact or whatever it is. And I couldn't capture the magic. I couldn't. I remember some of the poignant moments that happened. And I was like, I feel like there's something missing. And it's the shared experience is what's it's what's missing. And it's not just the shared experience, it's shared experience through proximity. That's another big part of it.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So and I go ahead, please.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the Halo experience, I want to get on board and share my story to kind of date myself too, because I remember specifically doing a charity fundraiser, playing Halo, connecting 16 people with their tubes in an apartment, playing on a screen this big, trying to snipe someone, and it was so freaking annoying but fun at the same time. And it was just because there were 16 people in an apartment yelling at each other and saying things like, "Stop looking at my screen!" You know, like,
big facts. Oh man, I had GoldenEye moments for a hot second. You're looking at my screen.
I see you with your rocket launcher. That was my husband with the rocket launcher. But like just remembering things like that where you were yelling at each other and you wanted to throw the pizza slice.
So
like, that was
real. So Stop looking at my screen. And you like turn. Well, I mean, definitely like, yeah, they have little squares, right? So you can like look. But like even with like the PCs, when we have LANs, we turn our monitors away like at an angle. Turn our monitors at an angle so nobody else can see. And you're like, yeah, you're looking. I saw you. Oh my God, that is like, yeah, that
so
for real.
I feel like that is lost in sort of the online gaming, right? But I get the whole community aspect, and that totally reminded me and triggered me about how fun that was, how infuriating but fun that actually was. So I totally get it.
It's also one of the reasons why I think D&D is really buzzing as well as it is too, because that shared experience with your peers and in a shared collective delusion, you're collectively delusional together, and it's amazing. And it forces you to have to interact. It forces you to have to use your imagination. It forces you to have to use teamwork in a way that some regular video games just can't do the same way. And with the advent of having video chat such as Zoom and all Google Meets and all these other different places, you can still have a pretty decent connection. The proximity is gone, but it's a good enough substitute when you can see somebody's face while you're gaming and read and see their emotion and see the reaction off of the choices that you've made. Yeah. Those moments are what's so golden to me in Dungeons and Dragons, because apart you can't really say nothing. You're like, you chose to do that? Yeah. Like, we should be running. What are you doing? But you gotta roll with it.
No,
you know, you just gotta roll with it because that's your team and that's your squad, and you're all in, and you're looking these people in their face. And I think in a time of pandemic, when there were so many people separated and going through real anxiety to connect with somebody, here comes a game from the early 70s, late 60s, I think it was made. Something as basic as that coming back and just exploding on the scene, because we are emotional, connected human beings, and we have to have that. So I totally get why it blows up, and maybe you can understand why I miss the theater experience, and I miss going to arcades, because that whole thing of going through it with somebody and competing in proximity, it's something we need as human beings, and
we'll get back there. We'll definitely get back there. We'll definitely get back there.
All right, I'm off my soapbox. That, my friends, was the wine. Okay, so there we go.
It was brilliant. I applaud and approve.
We'll definitely get back there.
Yeah. Hey, you want me? We can still bang out a couple more. I got one more that I'm a little bit interested in, only because I want to piss Defunk off, because I love making him happily angry. And Defunk, in case you don't know, Defunk is one of the curators of our news. He's an amazing and a super important team member of GeekBeast. And one of the things that absolutely ruffles his feathers is when you start talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Like, if you want to see somebody go postal real quick, talk about non-fungible tokens in front of the Defunk. So Riot was forced to explain a Valorant character is not into NFTs. So that's just the headline. Let's dig a little deeper. So as Polygon reports, Valorant's social media team recently posted an image of one of the game's characters, Killjoy, visiting a local museum in Berlin, where she was taking in the work of Martin Hora, an artist whose work is sold as an NFT. So from the gist of it, just their character looking at a picture of an NFT pissed the internet off. People have been having a lot of pushback regarding NFTs in gaming. A lot of people think it's a hustle, it's a pyramid scheme. Is this, a reasonable outrage by the internet regarding Riot's character looking at an artist that supports NFTs?
People will find any excuse to get pissed off at anything. I'm just putting it out there. But whatever. I mean, that's fine. I guess I look at it as he's an artist. He's an artist. You appreciate his work regardless of how he chooses to monetize it or distribute it, right? Who cares?
Right.
You're keeping up with the times because NFT is the in thing now. Who knows if that's what it's going to be in a year, right? Like, it could be a fad. Who knows? Hey, you remember HDTV and Blu-ray? There was that battle. Something lost.
Yeah, so that's true.
Anyway, NFTs could be the next.
Yes.
Yeah, you never know. So on the one hand, who the hell cares if this character is appreciating the art? Appreciate the art and the artist. Leave it at that. But then on the other hand, if they're looking to use that as a sort of a hint to drop additional monetization, then if they can cleverly work that into the game, then more power to them. I don't know.
It feels to me like they put their hand in the cookie jar and Twitter saw them. And they was like, are you for real? You gonna really do this NFT thing to us? And now they're backpedaling and being like, nah, I was trying to, I thought this was something else. I didn't know it was really cookies in there. The company has said, since Killjoy loves programming, we wanted to introduce you to computer-generated art from around the world. It's a really good excuse. However, we are not aware that the selected work was an NFT. In no way did we intend to include NFTs as part of Killjoy's work and hobbies.
Appreciation of art.
That quick.
But like I said, it was an appreciation of art, and that's okay.
So let me ask you a question that's a little bit relative to this. One of the most popular platforms is a Fortnite, right? And Fortnite has found a way to reinvent itself through their own platform by giving different forms of medium a chance to be shown. They've had concerts, they had a memorial to the March on Washington, and now they are coming in with an art gallery. Should art be seen through your non-4K screen?
I think if that's how you're able to consume it, why not? And if you have a problem as an artist with your content being viewed in non-4K, then restrict it for yourself. I don't know. Like I as an artist, I guess I would feel like I would want my art seen as much as possible. Unless non-4K is so diminishing to your piece that it doesn't translate. But I don't know. Give me an example of what that problem would be, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like exposure is exposure.
Right. Okay. Well, 4K is a little important only in terms of, you're paying for a top-notch experience. Okay, perfect example. Did you know the Super Bowl is not being shown in 4K?
Ooh.
Arguably one of the world's largest sporting events. The station that's I don't know if it's ABC, CBS, or NBC, one of those three, has decided to not show their game on a format that everybody has paid top-notch money in order to get the best experience. Now, I am definitely a sports snob. I want my Super Bowl in 4K. I know that there are snobby people that want their art seen in the purest light as well. To me, them not showing the Super Bowl in 4K is a disservice, and I'm angry.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So somebody that has spent hours of their time meticulously creating these works of art, and for it not to be seen in its purest form seems like a slap in the face to me.
I can see that, but is there an option to restrict it so you only get your art seen in 4K?
I would like that. I think that would be great, but I don't even have an option to see the Super Bowl in 4K. They're like, no, you're not going to see it in 4K. You have to watch it in 1080. How dare you disrespect my TV with 1080p?
Send me your address and I will send you a football. It will be even better than 4K. Better than 4K. I totally get where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with that. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a different thing, right? Like the Super Bowl is way more mainstream than somebody's piece of art that they probably can control where it gets exhibited.
That's very true. That's very true. Yo, I have had such an incredible time with you. Please, you have to come back to the neighborhood. Come back to our Sesame Street of geekdom. Yo, the absolute, completely legendary show. And for everybody that has joined in, thank you so much, Evelyn. This is going to conclude our new segment of the show today. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Gigantic. Yes.
Y'all been fun.
Legendary show, by the way. Huge shout out to Digital Click, who has provided all of this amazing digital beauty that has encased us. And I always quote Deion Sanders on this because I just love this quote. He said, when I look good, I play good. When I play good, I make money. Listen, when we look good, we give you a good stream. And when we give you a good stream, you come back and tell other people about it. That's what Digital Click provides. And that's why you should give them a ring, give them a click, sign up, and get all of the work that they provide. GeekBeast is also now in podcast form as well. If you missed our live streams, don't worry. You can listen to us on the following day on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a review. Listen, if you're not walking in podcasting or at least sitting in traffic in podcasting, I need you to catch up. Because that's how it really goes down. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're happening to be watching this on YouTube. Make sure you click that thumbs up because that is how the algorithm lets us know that you're digging what we're giving you. All right. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit the subscription button right now. I'm talking to you. Hit that subscription button.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Where is it? I'm helping.
If you're watching this on Restream, of course, hit us up at /Geekish Network on YouTube. Like us on Facebook, and that is /the Geekish Network as well. And on our Twitch, it's still live. We haven't absolutely abandoned it, but we're just repurposing it. And we'll be doing game streams, charity streams, cooking streams, and a host of other different things. Some of our charity streams have been legendary. I absolutely recommend that you pop in because you get to do headshots for humanity, headshots for a good cause. And if you have an Amazon Prime, you can link your account and sub to us using Prime Gaming. It costs you nothing, but it helps us out tremendously. I know I just gave you a lot to do, but the easiest thing you can do right now is just click that subscription button. Thanks to the voice in the sky. Go Rodney, you are legendary, man. You always make us look good and you always keep us in a positive life. Chuck, I miss you, our other co-producer. He should be back hopefully in another week or so. For real, dude, I miss you, man. Come back. Next big show is going to be Monday. That's going to be Pod Squadron. Check some of our feeds for the time. I think, Rodney, can you give me a time on that for Pod Squadron?
Okay. Yeah. So we had to switch it. Due to popular demand, because we have a lot of East Coast followers, Pod Squadron is going to be on 6:30 to 7:30 on Mondays now instead of 8. So we not only moved from Saturdays to Mondays, but now we're Monday Mondays at the time as well. So 6:30 to 7:30, and then GeekBeast will happen right after. So you still get the same content, just sort of flipped over a little bit. But yeah, so we wanted to, for instance, like Paul here in chat, he was one of our East Coasters, and we want to like basically be able to have them part of the conversation about Mandalorian episode 3.1, right? Which is Book of Boba Fett episode 5. But yeah, we can definitely have a lot to talk about on Monday about that. So definitely join us, and please tell your friends, share the word that we definitely have moved, and we're definitely starting to build up over here. We got good momentum going. We got some really, really good momentum, and we got some really, really cool shit planned. Really, really cool stuff planned, and we're all sort of getting in a better place, like individually and as a network. So we're just gonna try to keep hitting it as hard as we can and geek out as much as we possibly can with all of y'all. So please join us.
Hey man, you heard Boss Man, so go ahead and take us out of here. Yo, Evelyn, hold on before we roll out. Evelyn, just give one more quick shout out to some of your socials so they can hit you up. Hopefully we will have that in the description as well. So
so you want to check out my work, go to evelynhuyn.ninja. That is my website. And you can find me on social, on Instagram, Twitter, at Sleepy Eve. So feel free to hit me up.
You heard it there. Yo, Boss Man, take us out of here, fam.
Thank you all, and have a great night.